You like the scenery, it's beautiful down there. Have you noticed this as well
Oh,
down there?
absolutely, yes. And I travel the road quite a bit, and just a simple list, probably do some research, found out that years ago, the state of Massachusetts set speed limits within the confines of the towns. Now the governor has gone out and tried to change that a little bit, where, you know, like I live in a thickly settled district, and from the library heading east on Main Street, it's 30 miles an hour. And it's been like that forever. And I constantly see people coming down that hill doing 60. From Main Street corner heading west, they're doing 60 by my home. So I understand your point that you're going with, because again, as you stated, that there are many people who park in both locations and take a walk there. And because it's just, certain times of the day, the traffic does slow down, but as you say, peak times, which is the mornings time when people are going to work and coming home, people use that road because they know that.
It's just like the bridge.
Exactly, because they know that sometimes it's certain offices are parked on 138, so they use the lower road, which was the old 138 at one time, just to speed home to get home. And I understand that the point that he's saying is, it does happen. I see his mom walking the family dog, and his grandmother's out for a walk with, you know, his mother and so on, and people just...
And somebody actually stopped today because I was walking and yelled at me to get out of the road. And if you know Pleasant Street,
It's for speeders.
there's not much way to get off the road. And if I'm walking with my dog and then, you know,
Now you're on
I'm in like 3-4 feet, and, you know, am I gonna run into a mailbox or go into somebody else's property? I mean, sometimes I have to. I don't want to though, because, you know, it's the whole fact of share the road. But I don't want to put myself or anybody else at risk by, you know, staying in the road. You know, it shouldn't be that way. And you know, we can, you know, I've done a lot of traveling. I was a territory manager for a sales company. There are communities out there who have speed humps or speed bumps that they move. Some of them are even, I know Lakeville, they move them on a daily basis. They actually move them. They can actually put them in a municipality truck and bring them somewhere else. So this study actually, like I said, I had to say before I got interrupted there, Brett, but this is Standards in Neighborhood Traffic Control. It was done in California, but it was done across all different states. Like I said, it's a lot of pages, but it basically, there's an abstract here, which is the main part of it, which states that you can have police presence, but at the end of the day, you know, something else as far as either speed limit control or a speed hump or a speed bump or something, that is what actually changes it. And I just, you know, I don't know how many more times I can call the police station and complain. I mean, I could get 50 signatures to try to get something done. I don't know. I know that it's an issue, and it's been an issue. It's increasingly an issue now with the more parks and activity down there. And maybe I think the state might redo the boat ramp I heard way down the road. I mean, there's going to be more activity down there.
I agree with that.
Down the road, so a sidewalk and a speed bump and lights and this, yeah, that's up here. But to maybe lower the speed limit where we have a new bill that actually just got proposed in the town of Boston, city of Boston just lowered their speed limits. Today they signed, so in January, they're going to, I think it's January 9th, they're lowering the speed limits to 25 across the city. And that was from this new bill, H 4546. So that's interesting, and I know I've mentioned it to Tom Ferry, and he told me that it was a state regulated thing, but now it's in our hands, which is incredible.
No,
So,
it's not.
Okay.
Now, I'll tell you what's been going on. Because I've also received complaints and have talked to residents of Pleasant Street. Tommy and I have put together a list. It's not complete, but every time somebody said to me, they're speeding on my street, whether it's Main Street or Spring Street or you name the street, if it's straight, they're speeding. So we call it, it's an informal list. And one of the things Tommy said to me was, we have to be careful that if it's an enforcement issue, as opposed to, there were never houses there, now there are houses every, you know, few hundred feet, which makes it a, you know, a congested area. The state will not jump for not enforcing speed limits, okay? So I was there for the signing of that. MMA was one of the proponents that really pushed for that entire legislation. So, when it passed, Tommy and I started collecting areas of streets that people have complained about. That's the first thing. And again, with the caution that if the only issue is it's a straightaway and it's wide open, it's an enforcement issue. And Mass DOT does not willingly make those changes. Anyone who knows about the Main Street 138 intersection knows we have tried and tried and tried to get some kind of a light there other than what's there. The best we've done so far is to get one or two utility poles removed, try to get some protection for handicapped people to cross there, to get no parking signs along that intersection where the restaurant is. That's been over a period of time. The next thing we did, besides collecting names of problem streets, I'll call them, we sent a letter to Mary Jo Perry, who is the District Highway Director, District 5, and mentioned to her that we were starting to look at areas in this town that need to have speed limits changed. One of them is Center Street, where the Aggie School is. We can't get a school zone there because the children that go to that school are too old. They won't allow you to do it if the children are older than middle school.
Is that 20 now, Nancy?
It starts out at 30, and then it goes to 20. The bridge is 20, but I don't think anyone does 20, because part of the problem is the minute you start down the hill, unless you ride the brake, you're already speeding. And if you don't ride the brake, by the time you're at the straightaway near the old Dom, you're moving maybe 35 or more, and you're headed for a 20-mile bridge, 20-mile-an-hour bridge. So anyhow, we thought this would be the solution to the Center Street school area. And again, the concern there is enforcement, because we had to fight for that signal light, which gets tripped by students, and the school cooperates so that it's not being tripped every 5 seconds. Get a group of kids, trip it, let them cross, to keep the traffic flow from backing up. So we sent a letter to the district director telling her that we were in the process of gathering data so that the town could submit a list of areas that we want to propose changes or designation as safety zones. This is what we got back, and this was dated November the 16th. Oh, and the other thing we mentioned in here is, that bill gives us the impression the town has the right to make the changes, except on state highways.
Right.
And if you want to change state highways, you must go to Mass DOT. Makes sense. So the letter told Ms. Perry that the town was gathering data, the list of names, the streets, and especially the Aggie School area, and also mentioned, so we really focused on local roads, but we also mentioned that the town has gotten additional approval to build a police station on Route 138 near the power plant, and that we would probably be in touch with them to reduce the speed limit there simply because the police station is, going to be there. This is the response we got at November 16th. Dear board members, thank you for your correspondence concerning speed limits on state and local roadways in the town of Dayton. The recently enacted legislation regarding speed limits is intended to give local authorities the ability to enact and enforce speed limits on ways under their control. The legislation does not apply to any state highways, whether or not it is in a thickly settled area or business district. The legislation allows the town to establish thickly settled or business district areas on local roads. However, it does not apply to roads currently speed zoned. The establishment of a safety zone will require an engineering study, as it allows the town to erect regulatory speed limit signs. Mass DOT is in the process of updating its manual, and the title of that is Procedures for Speed Zoning on State and Municipal Roadways, which will give a more detailed explanation of the procedures you must follow regarding speed limits on local roads. If you have further questions on this matter, please contact, and they give us the engineer's name and the phone number. So what we all thought was, wonderful, we're gonna move ahead with this. No, we aren't. Not the way we thought we were going to. We thought the list of names, and once we eliminated, this is an enforcement issue, this one's thickly settled, even in business districts. What they're saying is that there are established speed limits right there now. There's a lot more that has to be done, and obviously, when we're talking engineering studies, number one, they're costly. We had one done years ago, when I was on the board. Serped got grant money to study the Main Street intersection. Went through that whole process, and the response was, the traffic's not heavy enough. We don't buy that. Speed limit coming down that hill is 45. You're approaching a dangerous intersection. At one point in time, there was a broken line that allowed passing going into that intersection northbound. And southbound, instead of being solid lines, one side had a passing lane. So the next time we tried this, because we got shot down initially, Tom Ferry got a couple of his men. We planned this whole thing out. They actually went out and measured distances in the road, like the passing lane entering that intersection, diagrammed it. We even got a population estimate, foot traffic within a certain circumference, starting with the library going towards the river, which included the stores, the post office, the place people would walk. Put this all together, and it still came back the same way. All we got out of that was some no parking signs at the restaurant. It took a long time, but finally the poles got removed. There was concern about they're not properly marked for handicap crossing with the pressure, the plate things on the ground. But we thought that legislation was the be-all, end-all. Now, we haven't given up. We certainly haven't given up. We're waiting for this procedures for speed zoning on state and municipal roadways, and the note on here is for Karen to give a copy of this to Tom Ferry. We're still going to try to get changes made, certainly on Center Street, on these streets where people have complained. I don't know how successful we'll be, but it took us 50 years to get a bridge. And I figure it took us 30 years to get the lights down the street, the Center Street intersection. The light at the Aggie School, the only reason we got that was because we let them know that we would not move ahead with land taking and easements unless there was an understanding up front that light would be in before any construction began. And they didn't like that, but they did it. We don't have that kind of leverage for what we want to do, but we're not giving up either. So what we're hoping to do is, when we find out what this new updated guide is, see how it affects what we want to do. But certainly we're going to continue to communicate with DOT. We're still, obviously we're going to have that town election in January, and if the bond issue exclusion is approved, then construction's going to move ahead. So we're certainly looking to have something done speed-wise on that section of 138, and possibly some kind of an emergency signal that when cruisers are coming out to respond to a call, like the Somerset Fire Department has, there's a signal there. So we're not giving up, and I'm not trying to tell you what you've proposed is not a good idea, because we're all looking at it. It's not going to be as easy as we thought, but that's not a reason to quit. So we will continue with that, and what you've got there, if you're willing to share that, I'm certainly glad to take it.
Okay, awesome.
Right?
Yeah,
Yep.
of course.
Alex, I have one question. When you mentioned the implementation in Boston of lowering the speed limits, do you know did you receive any information that they did all this engineering testing?
The difference
I
with
wonder if they did.
The difference with the city of Boston is, number one, they've got traffic control lights everywhere. As a matter of fact, the thing they don't control in Boston, and I'm guilty of this, is jaywalking.
Yeah.
Because if you follow, if you're in the financial district or at Government Center and you've got to get to South Station for that train, you are not going to walk and go where the crossings are. You are going to learn where you can safely jaywalk because you're going to keep moving. Because when you get to those crossings with all of those lights and you wait for those crossings, okay, you're wasting time. You're trying to get to that train. And as I said, I'm guilty, but I don't know how to get from Government Center quickly to South Station by jaywalking. The only place I get stuck is when I get down to South Station, because
I'm laughing because I've done it.
everybody does it. And I'm certainly not encouraging people to jaywalk and break the law. It's just something commuters do. But the situation in Boston is such that you really
interesting, though.
can't go fast on those streets.
No, it's all stop and go, light to light.
Yeah, but when you're in an Uber and you gotta go somewhere, that guy's going. But, Selectman Cronin, you bring up a great point. I mean, the bill was passed on August 9th, and they're gonna pass it, and then, set forth this coming January, it's gonna be 25. So that's interesting.
It is. I'm gonna find out.
I don't know what engineering they did that quickly.
Oh, I really don't think they did. How could you possibly do an engineering study on every one of those places in Boston that you wanted to lower the rate?
I'm gonna find out.
We're gonna find out how they went about and did it.
The power of the mayor is very strong, I will say that.
Well, there's also that little old unwritten rule that not everybody has to follow the same rules. And when it's the capital city and the State House is there, and on and on and on, they don't even follow the same old, and I'll mention that dirty word, stormwater rules that the rest of the state has to follow. Boston and Worcester are in a class by themselves, okay?
Well, that's where the bill initiated, so we'll find out.
Awesome.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
No.
The Weed Whacker bill actually came up yesterday at the conference because Attorney Gregorio was talking about some legislation that's in there. And now, he's with one of the largest municipal law firms in Boston, represents many cities and towns and school districts. He says, we haven't figured out what this one means yet. And he says, and it goes into effect, and this one has a little different timeline. He says, we haven't figured that one out yet. So, but anyhow,
Okay.
Alex, thank you.
thank you
Thanks
very
so much. I
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else have anything?
I just have something, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Oh, have you been up there before?
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
I do not remember.
He's honest.
I'd like to first say that I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and, we're approaching the holidays again, and it's gonna be a busy time of the year, and, let's just look out for our fellow citizens again as we're traveling on the roadways. I'm here this evening representing the Community Preservation Committee and the chairman, and I appreciate you having me here this evening. I want to give you a project status report on what's happening right now at the Historical Society building.
Oh, good.
As everyone is aware of, is that in June, the residents at town meeting approved the amount of $125,000 up to be spent for rehabilitation of the Historical Society building and the one-room schoolhouse. As of the 17th of this month, the one-room schoolhouse has been painted. That job is complete. Right now, the amount of the expended award has been $40,000, just a little above that, which is 31% of the total budget. Right now, the septic and water line has been completed. As I stated, the schoolhouse has been painted and the windows glazed, and that is also on the house, I believe. The basement supports and beams have been added. The floor has fresh concrete, and they have a sump pump has been installed. A door has been repaired, and a storm door has been added. The asbestos has been tested, has been removed from the building, and the work on the schoolhouse, again, is complete. Right now, they need to shore up the beams on the second floor of the home, and Ken Pacheco, who is the project manager, so to speak, up there at this facility, has done a fantastic job with making sure that the contractors are there on time, You know, the W-9s have been given to him, bills have been presented to the committee in order for us to sign. And as of this week, I believe that the plumbing should begin. So what's gonna happen is they're gonna do the plumbing in 2 phases. It's gonna be the rough plumbing, and then it'll be the final plumbing. Rough plumbing, of course, will be inspected by a local plumbing inspector. And then, of course, the final inspection will be done, that bill will be submitted. Also, the heating and electrical systems right now have been completed at the facility. We just have not received the bills yet from Mr. Pacheco, and that'll be coming shortly. And when those bills do arrive, the expended amount, give or take, percentage-wise, will be about 60% of the monies will be expended. So there's plenty of monies left into the fund in order for the other work to be completed. Now, I did mention that the second floor, the rafters need to be supported in order for them to do the removal of the shingles on the roof. And also, they're having a problem with the second floor stairs. That can be taken care of, that will be taken care of as part of the rafter shoring up. Now,
Is that, the second floor rafters, is that above the second floor apartment?
yes,
So there's an attic up there?
yeah, they have to
Okay.
support the roof in order for them to be able to do the work on the roof itself.
Okay.
Now, the chimney's a different situation. The chimney needs to have, not a standard mortar to be used in order to repoint the chimney. They have to use lime and sand, and that's part of the criteria from the Secretary of Interior standards, that they have to use a suitable substance that was basically used back, 150 years ago. So Ken's looking to get that taken care of. We're getting 3 bids again to get the chimney done. And hopefully, and I do believe that they're gonna come in under budget and on time. So we're looking at, this project's gonna be completed before next town meeting, which would be in June. So again, my hat's off to Ken Pacheco, he's done a fantastic job. On another note, the committee did receive, through the Board of Selectmen, a resignation from Mr. Richard Gunther, who was a representative from the Historical Commission. On behalf of the committee members, I would just like to say that, Rich, I know you don't get cable, but,
You may have Wi-Fi.
yeah, your input was fantastic, your ideas were over and above, and your support of the committee was just, beyond the realm of not the shots. So, Rich, we appreciate what you've done for us. Sorry you had to leave us, and I'm sure that talking with the commission and the Board of Selectmen in order to, get another member back in the CPC committee, that they will send another good representative. So again, I appreciate the Board of Selectmen's time this evening, and I look forward to giving a final report at town meeting on to the extent of saying the work has been completed.
Thank you very much.
Tim, that appointment's from us? Richards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was from you. I just want to say this, that one of the contractors who's going to do the rafters, it's my understanding that this gentleman also worked on the John Quincy Adam House.
No
Okay,
kidding.
so he is very well versed in historical buildings.
Wow.
So, we're using local contractors, our electrical contractor, or I should say the Historical Society's contractor. He was from Dayton. The plumber they're gonna use, he's a Dayton resident. They've gone through elected bids and decided that these are the bids we're gonna go with. Didn't have to be the lowest responsible bidder by law. And, just by reputation alone, these contractors who are in town, you're out there, you're doing fantastic work. So I don't want to give them any free advertisement, but,
You just did.
but if you drive by,
It's
you'll be able to find out. And again, if you drive by on Center Street and see the house itself at night, the sign that was purchased through the committee that needs to be in a project for no less than 4 years is up there at the facility, and it's lit up,
Yeah, I've been by there.
and it looks.
Looks good.
It does.
Does look good.
It's
It
coming
does.
along great. From what I understand also, that Ken is also working with Tom Ferry in conjunction with the Conservation Commission to try to make a bigger parking lot up there. They're within the buffer zone, but they're not within the buffer zone, so they should be able to get that done. And Tom's gonna use, I think, road tailings to widen the parking area up there, so that'll also be done, at no cost to the town. And,
The benches from the old town hall were delivered this week, and there is a very long-handled tool that they found. They think it was used to get ice dams off of the roof, because I assume you could, I don't know if you could stand on the ground and reach, but it's a very long handle. But anyhow, I'll call it a historic farm-type implement, and Ken Pacheco was gonna take that, because we don't have a use for it, but it's something that would be appropriate for that, for display up there, wherever they could put it.
I just want to say this on behalf of the committee. The guidance of our local building commissioner, James Aguirre, has been, outstanding. Jim, he's just an asset to this town, and we appreciate him there because he's given us a lot of guidance with Ken Pacheco on how to go about, getting things done with the building. And of course, our local plumbing inspectors, electrical inspectors, and so on, septic inspectors. So they've done a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't sell CPC short. They did a good job too.
What's the length of term that's open with Rich's resignation, or leaving the committee?
I'm not sure exactly what that is. I think once the committee was formed 5 years ago, they were staggered.
Yeah,
Staying.
yeah.
We will be looked at.
And I think, I'm not sure if they still are required by law, or they can just be one-year appointments. I'm not exactly sure on that.
Is he still in town, though? Is he still
Oh,
a
yes,
resident?
yes, Rich is still
Okay.
involved with, quite a few things. His children, his little
Yeah.
girls are getting older and things, so he's a busy guy, and he works for Amtrak, so he's traveling back and forth to Boston.
He's very active with the reenactment, the colonial reenactment, and the Minutemen and all that, so.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good man. Committee's gonna miss him.
That's a great update. I'm glad to hear it's going so well.
Excellent, excellent.
You got any other projects lined up?
We haven't received any applications yet. I brought it up to the membership. We met Tuesday afternoon downstairs, yesterday afternoon, I should say. And I think we need to set some parameters on when we're gonna have a time frame to accept applications for eligibility. And I said this to the membership, that I think that it should be from after the beginning of the fiscal year, say July 1, and accept applications till November 1st. Because then you have the 6-month time frame between then and town meeting. So that way, if you need to go out and do a lot of research in order to, get a project going, and especially, contractors, free bids, and so on and so forth, so the committee can look at them, bring these people in, the representatives in, and be able to give them the next step of the application for funding. So it's a long and tedious process. It can be. I know that the representatives from historical and from the commission itself and the society, they wanted to try to get it on a special time meeting before our recent last town meeting that we had. But our time crunch was just too small of a window. We needed more time. So it's just, you can't go into any project like that haphazardly, because again, you have to have all your research and information, present in front of you so you can make an informed decision.
Would rebuilding the stone wall and the seating area out on that field fall within the parameters of CPC? Because I was noticing the far wall where it goes down and it curves. Those are old walls. And of course, the seating area that was the stands when I was in high school over there, need work. And the highway department has done patchwork and all that, but it looks like a mason would be needed to do, and I'm just wondering, would that be something?
That's something I can check into with the coalition in the state. They're just a think tank. They don't give you, they give you advice. They're not a legal team. I think they would probably qualify, because as we well know that the stone walls out there were probably, guesstimation, 75 years old.
Well, it was I believe it was part of the Roosevelt administration, and it was, to get people back to work after the Depression. And I believe it was the 30s when that was built with, I think it was WPA funds. And, we always thought of it as the high school field, But it was not, my understanding, it was not part of the town's expense to build a high school. This was a separate project, like, again, to get the people back to work and get the country back on its feet. So certainly, it's more than 75.
Yeah, I was told through family law that my grandfather built these stone walls that surround this whole 11.5 acres that we're sitting on, so.
And we've been able to maintain the walls here, like there was a car accident when I was on the board the last time, and fortunately there was insurance, and we had local people rebuild the walls, but as I was driving out, I was looking at the field the other day, and I could see, you can tell the walls are starting to go, and they're retaining walls in certain places, and I just thought of that when you mentioned that.
Because I'm sure you remember that many years ago, on the stone walls that led to the old junior high school, there were lights there
Yes,
at the ends, on both ends.
yes,
And on both ends leading to this facility here. They were always lit up. But
Yes, they
through-
were.
Of course, through time, you know,
Right,
they deteriorated things,
right.
so.
But because I went to that school for 3 years, when it was a high school, and those lights were always on at night. Yeah, there was a metal, it's like a globe held in a metal holder. And over time, they disappeared, but yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I've spoken with Jim Aguirre about that, and I told him, I said, to put an application in for eligibility, and, you know, run it by the committee, and we'll do the research to find out if it's eligible to be done. Because, again, it would be, in my mind, historical, so it would fall into the historical category. So,
And,
it's-
and that field gets so much use,
No?
gotta maintain it.
It's, I guess, you know, you could say it's a quality of life issue, really, because you don't
It
want
is.
anybody to be hurt down. It's a safety issue, basically is what it is, I should say. You know, so,
But so many, I mean, I'm sure it's thousands of people that have enjoyed that field over the years.
Just the track itself?
Absolutely, the people that walk, just walk the track. Yeah, yeah.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. That motion passes unanimously. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, Cable, and thank you all very much.